Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our official start of Learn Free 2023. It has been a journey. I'm just going to tell you that. It's absolutely bonkers. I don't know about the rest of you, but life has taken on a whole, I don't know, it's just gone crazy since we've come out of lockdowns. It's like, I think it was, I was listening to a song this morning, and I think it was George Ezra, and he was talking about being an island in an ocean full of change. And I thought, yeah, that's how I feel. There's just so much change going on around us, and you just want to press pause so you can catch up. And we hope that just for these few days, we can press pause and just sort of ignore some of the things going on everywhere else and just really focus on receiving and being filled up so that we can get back to our families and just be so full of inspiration and motivation from what we've heard and seen this week. So I'm going to just go through my usual little bits of introduction. So a lot of you do know me, but for those of you who don't, my name is Juliet English. And what we do need to do, Amy, spotlight me. That's what we need to do. I can't.
Sorry, I took it back off when you went for the door and forgot.
I'm sorry if I look up, it's because I've got two screens and I've got you guys up at the top one, so I want to see you. So I'm like looking up, and then I've got my other screen here in front of me. So I'm going to try and look at you, but apologies if I don't. So we started home educating back in 1998, and we had our oldest daughter was about 7 at the time, and she was going to a little school, by all intents and purposes, a lovely little school. But one day she came home and said, "I'm stupid." And for most parents, nothing strikes a chill into your heart more than your child feeling that they are less than, that they are not capable. And we tried investigating it with the school, trying to find out what the problem was. And at the end of it, we realized that the system wasn't working for her. She had her own way of learning things, and whatever was happening in the classroom did not work for her. And we felt we didn't want her to go through all her school years believing less of herself. We wanted to give her an opportunity to reach her full potential. And so we made the decision to start home educating. At that point, we had 3 children expecting our 4th. And then we went on to have 7 children. So I am still home educating in the loosest sense of the word, because my 17-year-old is pretty much getting himself through A levels. I am there to pay the bills, but he is sorting himself out. So yeah, so still part of that journey. And I also had a background in social work, and one of the things I found through social work is that you kind of develop an attitude where if you see a need, you're like, well, what can I do about that? How can I fix that? How can I, what can I do in response? And for me, if I look back at my past when I was a social worker, a lot of the things that I was doing were around like peer support. So I would put groups of people together, so parents who needed support, or I had a few sort of community projects and group projects going. So that's always generally been my response to where I see a need. But, I was fine. Everything was fine. I didn't see a need for many years. It was only when we moved from one city to another, first of all, and things kind of went a little bit awry. We lost our way a little bit. My daughter went into her teens, my oldest, and that presented its own challenges. And then we moved countries. And that was, a whole other curveball, because we all moved just going to winter, which of course is, loveliest time of the year in the UK. And we didn't know, like, you don't notice when things are affecting you straight away sometimes. Sometimes it takes a while when you realize, actually, I'm not happy, I'm lonely, this is going wrong, that's going wrong, the kids are unhappy, the kids are angry, they don't have friends, all of these things. And you realize, actually, somehow I slid into a pit and I don't know how to I don't know how I got here. I've never had to deal with this ever in my life before. I've never had to, I've always been an optimist, and I've never had to kind of deal with difficulty in this way. And so, I was in a difficult place, and I was still home educating, and we plodded along. We've got photographs that show it wasn't all bad. We had our good times, but there were like a lot of things that went on, and I got to a stage where I was totally desperate, just totally desperate, like many parents get to that point. And what actually turned the corner for me was not to do with home ed at all. It was actually, I did something for myself. I joined a choir. And in joining the choir and being embraced by this group of people who just, were so positive and affirmed me in so many ways, it actually started getting me to sort of lift my head a little bit and start climbing slowly out of that pit. And that actually opened up and unlocked a bunch of other things in my life that have had lasting impact. And so trying to make that long story a little shorter is that coming out of that, I realized, sometimes, I would have liked help and support. I would have liked people to have noticed that I was not in a good way. And how can I offer something that is like a drink of fresh water to people that are thirsty and dry? And I just became aware of home educators, looking at home educators who were kind of home educating out of fear sometimes, out of being worried about the local authority, worried about what their parents thought or the family thought, and lots of things. And I thought, I want to just encourage and support others who are facing challenges, facing negativity, to kind of actually see home education for the wonderful thing it is, and just support one another. So that was kind of how I made a decision in 2012 to run a home educating conference for the first time, and organized that within a very short space of time. And basically, we've carried on every year since. The other issue, of course, coming to the UK and coming from another country, as some of you may have done as well, is that you look at the system and you see something's not right here. Maybe, I know that in a lot of countries, the system isn't great, but some systems in some countries are a little kinder, or maybe, I think like in South Africa, it's almost like happily slightly negligent, where that slightly negligent attitude towards the education system actually means that things are a little looser and a little freer and a little more child friendly. So I think children need that a little bit sometimes. But coming into the UK and realizing that there's a system and it's got all these good intentions, but there's no way it can serve the needs of each and every child. Systems like this, they have an agenda. They say they want to deliver the same for every child, but they don't recognize that every child is not the same. So they can't do that. And so we're finding in the UK, numbers of home educators are increasing quite rapidly. If you're on the groups, you're hearing all the time about people coming out of the education system because things are not working out. And it is sometimes the kindest thing to do for that child is to hear them and to get them out of a system that's actually harming them. It's not even like neutral, it's harming them. So that's where we come from. And as a parent, we can envisage the long-term impact of that harm. And invariably, we would be the ones ending up picking up the pieces. So it's kind of on us. And the law says, actually, it's our responsibility. So, we're doing the right thing. And often we take that first step, and it's a very tentative step into home education, and we're a little bit unsure of what we should be doing, how we should be doing it, where we should, should we use a curriculum and what curriculum, and should we do it like this? And we have that idea of school in our mind and not wanting our children to get behind. But thankfully, at some point, we see that there's a lot more to it, and there's a whole realm of possibility, and our eyes open. So Learn Free is a response to that need for support that many parents have as they take those early steps, and sometimes further on down the road when those challenges pop up. And, I think, maybe we can fast track people so that they don't need to go through all the difficulties that some of us have gone through. They can kind of just happily leap over them. So it's interesting because often with Learn Free conference, I get people saying, okay, it's called Learn Free. Is it a free conference? No, obviously it can't be, because we're trying to bring in speakers and we're trying to finance something that offers a quality offering for people. But why is it called Learn Free? And I'm sorry for those who've heard this year after year after year, but for those of us who are all of a certain age, there was a movie back in the day called Born Free. And Born Free was about a lion raised in captivity that gets released back into something that was natural and where they belonged. And I feel that Learn Free is about releasing our children back into something that's natural and a natural place for them in respect of learning and freedom. There are many, many conferences that are about learning and freedom, but what makes Learn Free a little different to those conferences that are about learning alternatives is that we focus specifically on the role of the parent in facilitating that move to learning differently. And I actually believe home educating parents are on the cutting edge, and believe this about yourselves. We are on the cutting edge of understanding how children learn and how different children learn, because we deal with all kinds of children, don't we? We all have it couldn't be more tailored and customized than what it is in home education, and we have to figure out all kinds of things and ways to help our children and support them. And so it goes so far beyond just general research as well. Those of you who've been involved with Learn Free for all those years will know that we have our 4 E's, which is equipping, enabling, empowering, and encouraging you as parents to educate in boldness and freedom. Everything's about freedom, about whatever it is that is kind of holding you back, that we want to address that, and we want to kind of get you to a place where you actually walk in that place of good instinct and caring and responsiveness to your child. I was watching back one of Alberta Stevens' talks from, I think it was from 2 years ago, and she was talking about how the midwife, in talking about breastfeeding, was talking about responsive breastfeeding. You give the child what they need when they need it. And when the midwife said to her, well, how does home education work? She said, well, it's responsive education. You're responding to what your child needs and giving them what they need. So I thought that was a really, really good analogy. Now, since 2020, of course, we did our big switch to virtual, and so 2020, 21, and 22 were all virtual conferences. So we haven't been together in person for 4 years, and that was why we decided to try and have our in-person conference, which will be on Saturday, and we are hopefully going to have the live stream working well for you guys, so that those of you who can't join us, you can watch it on the live stream. But it's been incredibly hard this year. It really has. I don't know when last it felt so much like I was walking through treacle. I know we got out a bit late with getting the bookings and that kind of thing, but life is crazy. And we had a few things we had to sort out, and I do believe that the timing is always right for everything. I don't sort of have a problem with, I try and be at peace about these things. I don't panic too much. In December, we became foster carers to a little boy for the first time. So having a 17-year-old to having a 5-year-old in the house again, that's been a huge challenge. And of course, you're responsible and accountable to your to the authorities for that child. So I have been working very hard for, like I haven't in a lot of years with this little boy, and he's doing extremely well. But it has meant that my time hasn't been quite my own as it has in the past. So there's been a few factors this year, but as I said, I try and keep peace about how things work out, and I don't worry about it too much. So our early in-person conferences up till 2019, they were getting along really well and getting up to 250 people in attendance. And then, of course, we had virtual, and now I find people are really battling. Coming out of lockdown, people are battling with coming back to in-person. And so, we're wanting to try and draw people out again, because there's something very special about seeing people face to face, having a cup of coffee, having a chat over lunchtime, those sorts of things. So, you know, I understand that we're all finding it hard, but hopefully we can get our way back again to having that very wonderful in-person contact in the future. So I want to talk a little bit about this year's theme, which is Truth Bomb. I hope, did any of you get it or not get it? I mean, I don't know if I should dare ask that question, but did you understand what I meant by Truth Bomb? So it's Truth Bomb, it's the transformative power of home education. What that means is, so a truth bomb is basically an inconvenient truth. It's not inconvenient for us. We know the truth. It's inconvenient for those who would prefer to believe that home education is in some way harmful, that children won't be socialized, that children won't be able to get a job, you know, that children won't succeed, that they'll be closeted at home, you know. So we want to what I really felt is that in the past few years, we've had to respond so much to political things. And that, I won't say the political stuff has gone away. Yesterday's 10-minute rule bill will confirm that it's not gone away. But this year, I felt it was really important to get the positive, hugely positive message out there, to remind home educators of how positive the message is, so that we can actually all go out and be really bold and free and be ready to respond to people in respect of those questions and the negativity that we sometimes face. I'm going to read a little bit from my brief that I set for the speakers. While some parents know from the very beginning that they do not want their children to go to school, and they have a very clear philosophical motivation and feel empowered to educate their children as they see fit, the fact is that most home educators make that choice later on when they begin to question the system and whether it is working for their children or not. The decision is huge for them. Those parents enter the world of home education with some trepidation and uncertainty, relying on their own experiences of education and the commonly accepted idea of what schooling should look like. And then I'd go on to say that what happens for most of us, especially those of us been doing this like rather a long time, Ruth, is that we go through a series of epiphanies along the way. So sometimes you're going on a certain way, something goes wrong and you have to find a solution, and you're like, oh, actually, maybe I don't need to do that. Maybe I don't need to try so hard. And then you go along and then you have another little epiphany about it. And as you're going, you question your role in educating your children and the effectiveness of a chosen approach. So you start making adjustments. And eventually you go on a wonderful journey of discovery, which empowers you and makes you bolder. And mothers and fathers grow in confidence as they become authorities on their own families and become excited and passionate at witnessing firsthand the emotional, mental, physical, and even spiritual transformation in their children and themselves. And that transformation is something I'm seeing in so many parents. Is I see parents go from being uncertain, feeling vulnerable, feeling intimidated, to becoming like really empowered and strong and bold and opinionated and really passionate about this thing called home education. And people are so passionate when they've home educated their children that some of them don't want to go away afterwards. They hang around because they want to help you guys, you know. So there's something about home education that is amazing for families, but we do need support. And some families struggle to find that amazing quality of home education, and they might need help being just redirected. So at Learn Free this year, we want to deliver a truth bomb to the world by holding this message up for you guys to claim and pass on. And that message is, hey, this home education thing not only works, but it is a catalyst for hugely positive change in families. It encourages parents to parent and children to develop agency and direct their own learning. It is developing creative and divergent thinkers, something our society will need more and more of, and contributing members of society. We know this might be inconvenient for you to hear, but this amazing truth deserves to be heard and repeated. And I want, you know, I want you to take a bit of time to think about what you want to get from this conference. What our speakers are hopefully all supporting this message, and what do you want to get from it? What do you want to walk away having heard and having changed for yourself, what do you need from this conference? And we'd love to hear from you. I also want to just say that you can go and join. We decided not to, last year we had like a community forum on the website, which wasn't particularly effective. Previous years we had Hoover, and Hoover had a wonderful community thing built in, but it's also hugely expensive. So we didn't do Hoover last year and this year. So what we're going to do is direct you, hopefully most of you on Facebook, to the Learn Free community group. I've put a link on the members dashboard on the website, so you can go and join the community group and we can have all our chats there. So if you want to discuss one of the topics, what I am trying to do is to ask our volunteers to actually set up a post, like say for instance this session, set up a post on the community group, and you can then go and have all your conversation in that thread underneath, anything you want to say about conference and chat about and connect with other people. That I think that will work the best for us this year. So having said all of that, I want to quickly discuss some of the features of the conference. Hopefully you guys have, I'm assuming you're all now registered and logged in and you know how to access the Zooms. So you will have virtual access. So once these sessions are finished, so this session this morning, once it's finished, the recording is going to be picked up. It's going to be edited. It will be put back on the website, probably within a couple of hours. So you can go back and watch it. If you missed part of it, you can go back, and all of the sessions, except for the informal chats, coffee chat, lunchtime chat, everything will be recorded. And you will have access to that for up to 6 months. So you can go back and watch again as much as you want. The other feature of conference is that I don't know how many of you have popped along to our exhibitors page, but we do have exhibitors. Some of them will be at the event on Saturday, but most of them are on the website. So you can go on the website, look under people, exhibitors, and go and look at what they've got to offer. Some of them have got deals on for the conference. Some of them are offering some kind of promotion. So go and have a look and see if there's something you're interested in. And many of them are donating prizes. And that's another wonderful feature about Learn Free that other conferences don't do, is we have a big prize draw at the end of conference. So we will be doing that on Saturday at the live event, but it will include everybody. It's not just going to be for the live attendees. All of you will be in for that draw. And we've got some fantastic prizes of quite significant value. So so that's really cool. Yeah, so I've mentioned the community group. Trying to think if there's anything else. So if you have a problem with anything to do with the technical side of things, you can email support@learnfree.org.uk. So the web address is learnfree.org.uk, but you can go and it's support@learnfree.org.uk. Sorry, that sounds like absolute rubbish, but the way I said that, but anyway, sorry. Hopefully you will forgive me. Otherwise, go on the Facebook group as well and go and put your thing there. And you've got volunteers here. You can see who they are. You can also contact them if there's an issue. So I do need to say thank you to some people who have really made things possible. The first person that I thank even before my family is my very dear friend Doré, who is in here, I believe. Hi, Doré. This conference does not happen without Doré at the moment. In terms of the tech, the website and everything, if it was not for Doré, I would be floundering. So I just really want to say a huge thank you to Doré. She does walk this journey with me. She hears all my worries and all my concerns and doubts. Doré is such a fantastic support. And then I do have to thank my family, because they basically don't see me properly for a few days. And my husband has very kindly agreed to do the afternoon school run this week. So I can be available in the afternoon sessions, which I'm very thankful for. And then we've got our volunteer team. So we've got people that are looking after these sessions. We've got my daughter-in-law who does the who sorts the recordings. My son will be involved on Saturday. We've got our moderators in these sessions, and we've got people doing a number of different little jobs to make sure that the conference runs, and I cannot manage without them. This can be very, very lonely, and you can't run it on your own. There's just like no way. So thank you to the volunteers for their help. And I do hope if you spot them, that you'll just thank them as well. I did mention our most famous volunteer really is Heidi Conway, who's not only a volunteer, she's a speaker and she's a sponsor and an exhibitor. And Heidi will be joining us from Brisbane, Australia, so she won't be in all the sessions, but she does crazy things. She gets up at weird hours of the morning and all sorts to be able to take part. So so do look out for Heidi. I did say on the newsletter, I hope people got the newsletter, because I'm trying to figure out how to send to the right group of people. But we're going to make a game of it. Where's Heidi? So your mission is to find Heidi. Okay. But don't go ditching other speakers just to find Heidi. Okay. Go to the sessions you want to go to. Okay, then I also want to thank, we have a few sponsors that have made it possible for us to hold this event. So financially, this year's also been different, because a virtual conference doesn't cost that much to run. The costs are much lower, but in person is quite a heavy cost, and so it's been a little tougher going financially, and we do want to be able to bless our speakers or cover their transport, that kind of thing. So we've had some sponsors. So we had a sponsorship from Eleanor Marker, who runs a podcast called Home Education Matters, and she's also an admin of the Homeschooling UK group. And she very generously donated to the conference. Tutors and Exams are sponsoring our t-shirts for Saturday. I'm hoping they'll arrive today in the post. So Tutors and Exams have sponsored those. They've traditionally been quite a big sponsor, but they are extending at the moment. So so we got t-shirts out of them. That's what we did. And then Heidi, again, Heidi is another sponsor, and she is from Raising Changemaker Teens. And we're just really thankful to these people that have helped make this all possible. Honestly, it just makes a big difference and releases some of the worries that I have around the financial side of the conference. So that, I think, wraps everything up. I do hope you'll have a lovely time, and come to as many of the virtual sessions as you can, because it is really nice for the speakers to see people and not just the volunteers moderating. We want to really get everything we can, and we've got Harriet Patterson at 10:30 and Heidi at 10:30. So pick your favorite one for now. You can go back and catch the other one up later. Okay, that's the beauty of this thing, is that you can go and catch it up later. So I am looking forward to seeing you all around and meeting some new people. Please join our morning coffees or our midday chats, because those are also just great fun for actually meeting people and not just sitting there and listening to one person talking. So do make the most of that. Those who are more experienced with conference, like Ruth, or I'm trying to think who else is that. Anything that you can think of that I've left off? Okay.
Thank you, Juliet, for the opportunity for us to all meet again. That's a really big
It's
thing.
wonderful. I must say, if I can just tell you my morning, by the way, my morning this morning, I was up at 6 to have a shower before I had to get this little boy up, get him ready for school, and thankfully he was very obliging today. And then I drive half an hour to school and half an hour back. And then I kind of come back, and I haven't actually even had breakfast yet. So it's bonkers is what it is, but I'm thankful that we're all here, and I'm thankful that you're also gracious and you put up with if things are a little bit crazy, but hopefully it won't appear that way to you. Hopefully, when you, from your perspective, it'll all look wonderfully organized, and then we'll know we got it right. So thank you very much for joining us. 11:30, sorry, it wasn't 10:30, 11:30 is the next session. Please go and enjoy it. It's been it's lovely to see you all join me in the Zoom this morning. You're just never quite sure who's going to turn up. So have a good day, and yeah, see you around. Take care.